Hello, my name is Jesse Meekum with another episode of The Jesse Meekum Show, and I'm here each week to obsess out loud to myself, to this camera, and to all of you about spending purposefully, saving aspirationally, giving joyfully. It all comes down to just one single solitary principle, and that is to give every dollar a job you want it to do, a purpose, something that will energize that dollar to run off and serve you well. When people set up a budget, you'll often hear them talk about sticking to a budget. We don't stick to budgets. We actually want budgets to stick to us. But a budget in the traditional sense, and it's a word I don't like to use very often, and honestly try and avoid like the plague, ironically. But the traditional sense of the word budget is, I'm going to set this spending limit, and how dare I exceed it? And that's basically it. Usually, these are set at times where you are wishing you had more money than you do. They're set at times when you're feeling like you deserve maybe a couple lashings. You deserve a little punishment. You need to eat a little crow. I'm not sure where that phrase came from. Don't care for it. That's kind of nasty. But the idea is, it's surrounded by negativity. It's not like secretly negative. Like people are like, they're so resigned when they finally have to set up a budget because it means the fun is over. Life as you know it is over. Everyone fun has left the building, and it's just you and your ledger book, a calculator maybe, and guilt with a dash of shame. That's budgeting. And that's the 20-year ball and chain we've been dragging around, trying to teach people that it could be perhaps a little different, maybe just a little. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about this idea of these spending limits and how a budget is just meant to just don't exceed the limit, and dig into what it means to have a budget or your spending stick to you instead of you sticking to it. And all that means is when new information comes in, this is our fifth question: what changes, if any, do I need to make? As you're giving every dollar a job, the fifth question is there, that flexibility question, to prompt, spur, allow, invite flexibility. I distinctly remember, it was in the bleak December. I'm just kidding. That was an Edgar Allan Poe joke. But I do distinctly remember being engaged. Julie and I were going to be married in about 6 weeks, and I had moved out of my apartment, and I was moving out, with like college roommates, and I was moving into the basement apartment where Julie and I would be living. She was still living with her roommates. We were waiting to get married, and I'm sitting there moving into this basement apartment, and I realized that the apartment didn't come with a bed or a couch, but we got by without the couch. The bed, bit of a non-negotiable. I had a cot, but it was only enough for one person. So I slept on the cot in the basement apartment for a couple weeks. And I was like, I'll be able to save up enough and be able to get something. And full disclosure, we didn't actually buy a bed. We bought a box springs and a mattress and a little frame, but it was going to do the job. But I realized I wasn't going to be able to save up enough in order to get, buy this pretty crucial piece of furniture. So I looked at my plan, and I just had to move a lot of things around. And I don't remember the details of it, but I just remember being like, well, I won't do that this time, and I'm not going to be saving up for that this month. And my finances were simple, so it wasn't like it was some secret buried deep in our, at the time, spreadsheet that we were using. We were not so lucky as to have the app that you all have today. Have I mentioned it? wineapp.com/Jesse, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. Go check out the app that helped me be able to be ready for, marriage, but also helps everyone be able to be ready for anything. But that one popped into my mind about being flexible. I mean, what would a budget have told me to do there? Sleep on the floor? Hey, honey, like carry her across the threshold. Is that still a thing? Like carry her across the threshold and then be like, oh yeah, the bed. Well, I have this cot. We'll just alternate, Doesn't work. New information. Hey, Jesse, reminder, you're getting married. Should I have known that already? Perhaps. But sometimes that new information, we have this little bit of like, oh, you should have known that. No, just let that be. Don't beat yourself up over that. You have in your possession now new information that tells you that the plan you set needs to be adjusted. Now, I was going to say that the plan you set wasn't quite ideal, but that is such a false ideal to have. What it really needs to be is just, oh, new information, let's adjust. That's all it is. Oh, new information, let's adjust. Don't do that to yourself where you think, I should have known this, if only this. We don't do if onlys. If onlys those are nasty, nasty things. I think I've hit that pretty good. I do want to touch on one point though. Sometimes people will come at me and they'll say, listen, Jesse, if you don't set a firm, fixed budget, then you're just going to move dollars around willy-nilly. And they probably even say willy-nilly, which makes their argument really strong. If you can work that into an argument, that it sounds good. So if you're dealing with that, then I guess time will tell. Let it be for a second, but for someone just to be like, well, how do you know that being flexible will just end up where you just move money around wherever you'd like? Well, you're right. It may end up doing that, and we'll adjust then. That will be new information that will help us to adjust, and we'll start to get our hands around reality a little more. But for you, then, I could flip that around, person that I'm arguing with, and I could say, okay, so in your mind, to protect us against willy-nilly reassignment of dollars to other jobs, we therefore cannot do it ever. And the risk, in my mind, is far greater with that than with too much flexibility that you slowly maybe dial into what's realistic and right versus no flexibility that leaves you convinced that caring about your money and what it does doesn't work. That's where I don't want you to land. It just means you're going to feel less guilt and less shame as you go about trying to spend that precious resource that you give so much of your day to. Some of you give it your nights also. All that time and effort and energy you spend to get that money. And I just want you to be able to enjoy it without any guilt or second guessing whatsoever. So be flexible as you give every dollar a job.